Hello, I'm Professor Greg Marshall, and I'm going to be teaching you a course called Introduction to Strategy. You'll have that course on Monday afternoons, and I look forward to meeting you on the first day of class. I'm here today remotely because I'm actually, while you're engaged in your orientation program, at a conference in Atlanta. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you, though, because there are several things related to this course that we need to talk about before the first day of class. First of all, this class, Intro to Strategy, is in some ways a continuation of what you're learning on the case analysis process in your orientation course with Mark Johnston and Ron Piccolo. In orientation, you're going to be working on some business cases. And in the Introduction to Strategy course, part of my job is to make sure that your ability to work business problems, cases, like the ones you're working here, are taken to the next level of proficiency and expertise. We'll be working several cases that relate to real-world organizations in kind of a real-time environment, and I think you'll enjoy the course. It's a great way to kick off your MBA experience in your coursework. By now, you should have in front of you a sheet, and this sheet has a big title on it that says Assignments Before Class. I have the same sheet right here, and I want to walk through this with you just to make sure we're on the same page about what my expectations are before your class starts on that first Monday. First of all, you're going to notice right at the top that there's an important note that is highlighted in yellow that says, mark your calendar. The second week of the course, our class will be held on Thursday afternoon instead of Monday afternoon. Will be Thursday 1 to 4, and that will only be on Thursday, September 20th instead of Monday, September 17th. Please mark your calendars for that, because that will be an exception. All of our other class periods will be according to the schedule, which is on Monday from 1 to 4. All right, let's walk through the items on this assignment sheet. First, it says to read through the syllabus. Well, I have your syllabus posted on the course Blackboard, along with a few other items under course documents. Look under the course documents, look in course assignments, see what's out there. But the most important thing on it before the first day of class on Blackboard is to go ahead and take a look at the syllabus. Second, you need to make sure you've got the book. This is not really a traditional college textbook. This is a small paperback book that is a guidebook for understanding business strategy. It's an easy read. I think you'll enjoy the book. And very importantly, you need to make sure you get the current edition. The 5th edition of this book is the one you want to get. That's because many of the examples have been updated and changed in that edition to reflect what's going on currently in industry. Number 3, it says read chapters 1 and 2 along with the appendix in chapter 11. It's going to be important that you are prepared to discuss this material in class on the first day. But along with this, look at item number 4. There'll be a practice quiz on chapters 1 and 2 material on the first day of class. Practice quiz. Now, I'm not going to be counting this one towards your point accumulation. The reason why I'm giving you a practice quiz on the first day on these 2 chapters is because I want to give you the opportunity to prepare for this quiz as though you were going to prepare for a quiz that's going to count. But I want you to be able to see how well you do, see where you could make improvements before you do the same thing for a quiz that actually is going to count. And so hopefully that makes sense. Please take advantage of this. I don't want any students to sort of get the idea that, well, you know, this is a practice quiz, so I'm not going to read and really study for the material. That's a big mistake. You want to study as though you're studying for a real quiz. Because if you'll do that, and then we'll debrief, you're going to be in a really good position to see how you could have done better, and it will really help you a lot when you're studying for the quiz on chapters 3 and 4. Okay, so be sure that you do that, and we will do that quiz the very first 20 minutes of the first day of class. So if you're late, then you don't get extra time at the end. Be sure to be on time. Number 5, I have placed out on Blackboard for you under course assignments a little case study that we're going to be doing on the first day. Your assignment is to read this sheet and, as it mentions here, take some notes, think about it, follow the instructions on the assignment sheet. The case that we're looking at on that first day is American Airlines. And the reason we're looking at American Airlines is primarily because American Airlines is currently in bankruptcy. What does that mean to them, if much of anything? What does it mean to the industry? What opportunities exist for American Airlines post-bankruptcy? There's all kinds of very, very interesting strategy options related to American Airlines and its future. So you need to go out to Blackboard, course assignments, pull up the American Airlines assignment sheet, and simply follow the instructions on it. And be prepared for me to call on you and hold a discussion with you on the first day of class related to this American Airlines case. You are not turning anything into me on this. In other words, yes, you want to make some notes and be prepared to discuss American, but I'm not taking anything up. This is going to be an opportunity for us to get in the swing of having a case discussion. Number 6, and notice how this one has a yellow highlighter under the word critical, advanced preparation for team cases. Before the end of orientation, and hopefully just as soon as possible, I want you to meet with your team for a few minutes. And what you need to do is talk over companies across a variety of industries that your team might be interested in looking at as a team during the Intro to Strategy course. And what I've asked you to do here specifically is to stick with publicly held Fortune 500 type firms, firms that anyone in the class will know who they are. This is because your team might very well end up with one of these, of course, to do a case study on in your team. But all of the other teams in the class are going to be in the room and are going to need to know what this company is and be able to do a little research on it themselves so they can make sense out of what you're doing. So we can't have unknown firms, firms that are privately held for which we can't really get any information on, particularly financials. Stick with publicly held Fortune 500 type organizations on this. Now, what I want you to do is come up with a list, and I'm asking you here under number 6, notice, of 8 to 10 companies, 8 to 10, that are of most interest to your team collectively. So, in your team, in the next day or so, do some brainstorming, come up with a list of different companies across some different industries that the folks on your team think might be fun to work on. Get that list on paper, and then it's going to be important that you send that back to me. And as it mentions down towards the bottom of the page, that's going to be due on Wednesday, September 5th at the latest. The earlier you can get it into me, the better. But 5 o'clock, Wednesday, September 5th, that is the real deadline for this. No exceptions. Now, the EA MBA 20s and the EA MBA 19s, all the teams from both of those groups met that deadline, got it into me on time, and I know the 21s are going to do that too. No question. If you get it into me on time, what I'll be able to do then is cull through all of that input. And then for the first day of class, I will already have completely developed our plan for the semester. in terms of which cases we'll be looking at when. You'll have everything ready to go on that first Monday, which I think is really good for you in your planning for the semester. So make sure that you make that happen. At the very bottom, it indicates on the sheet that you're going to turn in, and you will be putting this into Blackboard. You will be putting it back right where that assignment is under Blackboard. Deposit to Blackboard. Don't send it to me by email. On the sheet, put your team number, and then I want you to put your team members' names, mainly because I want you to put your first name the way you want me to address you in class. So put your names on there, even though I realize who's on your team. Put it the way you want me to address you. And then, of course, list the 8 to 10 companies. Don't fool with putting the companies in any type of priority order. That's not really going to help. Just make sure you've got some companies on there of interest. And then I will do my best to make sure that I parcel these out for focus so that teams are hopefully able to get a company or more that are on their list. That's the idea of this. Obviously, I could just assign these myself without getting the input, but I'd just as soon you work on some companies that you're interested in. One last thing, I look forward to meeting you, of course, on the first day of class, as I told you earlier. But this particular course, what we do is we take a look at the overall business model. We'll have an opportunity to kind of think strategically for the first 6 weeks of the term. You will begin to see how some of your other core courses, like your marketing course, operations, accounting, finance, all of those different segments of business begin to fit together into the big picture. And by having this course early, it does give you that opportunity to look at the overall business model of an organization before you start getting too deep into the specific core areas. So I look forward to seeing you on the first day. I hope you continue to have a great experience in orientation. You're in excellent hands with your orientation facilitators, and welcome to Crummer.